Welcome to the Girlfriend Doctor Show, where we dive deep into the world of women's empowerment and vibrant living. I'm Dr. Anna Cabeca, your host and guide on this journey. Today, we're exploring the transformative power of embracing menopause with grace and resilience. I'll be sharing my personal story of being diagnosed with early menopause at age 39, a journey that took me around the globe to learn from healers in Peru, Brazil, and Indonesia. And we will be discussing how lifestyle changes can really balance hormones. It takes more than hormones to fix your hormones. So that is key. In this week's podcast, I'm sharing our World's Menopause Day live discussion that I had with Tamsen Fadal and Dr. Betsy Greenleaf. So, Tamsen Fadal is a journalist and a passionate advocate for menopause awareness, and she shares insights from her own documentary called The M Factor. And then we'll hear from Dr. Betsy Greenleaf about prolapse awareness and the evolving field of urogynecology. It's estimated that over 50% of women over age 50 will experience symptoms from prolapse. We want to eliminate that completely. So, together, we'll uncover the power of community, education, and shared experiences in navigating menopause. So, grab a cup of tea, settle in, and let's get started. You will enjoy these two discussions. Yes, while they happened live on social media, while they happen live on social media, I'm bringing them to you because the meat of it is just such good, juicy content. So let's get started. I'm Dr. Anna Cabeca here, and I am celebrating World Menopause Day. When I was diagnosed now 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, with early menopause at age 39, I felt like I was devastated. I didn't know how to navigate that diagnosis. I mean, being just 39 years old, diagnosed with early menopause, my fertility dream squashed. My dream of having another child was completely squashed at that point. And, I was heartbroken. I was an OBGYN trained at one of the best universities in the world in hormones and gynecology and obstetrics at Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia. And my doctor's bag was empty. Literally, I took a sabbatical from my practice. An angel doctor, Dr. Deborah Shepard, came and took over my practice for a year. And I just traveled with my family. I had two girls at the time, ages 7 and 10, almost 7 and almost 10. And my daughter Brittany was in college. And we had lost a child. We had lost our only son, Garrett. And the trauma, the stress, the grief, and then the added trauma and stress and grief of being told, you're in early menopause, you're infertile, there's no chance of having another child on your own. So, and I'd failed 6 rounds of infertility treatments. And I know how painful that is if you're listening and you've struggled with infertility, and every time you get a negative pregnancy test, it's like loss all over again. And it was that for me. So I took a sabbatical from my practice for a year. And as a result of that journey, learning from healers all around the world, from a Native American shaman, from an Andean philosopher, learning about the healing foods in Peru like maca and cat's claw herb, and then in Brazil, acerola and just the list went on, turmeric and curcumin and etc. Just learning about medicinal foods as I traveled. So from traveling in the U.S., working with indigenous healers, then to Peru, and then to Brazil, and then to New Zealand and Australia, and then to Asia, different countries in Asia. And I studied the medicine as I went along the way. And then in Indonesia, I met the Indonesian healer, probably the same one that's written about in the book Eat, Love, Pray. I hadn't read that book at that time. This was in 2006, early 2007. And but that ancient, based on ancient principles, this Indonesian traditional medicine man just gifted me with the concept. This is one thing. Let me share with you this. He put his hand on my head And it was, or he said, he said, it was really tender, like where he touched the top of my head. And you guys are watching, you can do this right now. Touch the top of your head. Is there a tender point at the top of your head? And it was severely tender for me. And I was like, oh my gosh, what does that mean? He says, you worry too much. You worry too much. If you look at the meridian lines too, and if you look at the neurosensory lines, top of the head, there's a worry. That is a worry spot. So I was worrying too much. So, I mean, it was true. I was fearful. I was sleeping 3 hours a night. I had fear. I had PTSD. I just didn't understand the scope of that at the time. And he had given me advice, and I write about that in my first book, The Hormone Fix, where I say it takes more than hormones to fix your hormones. And so part of that journey, not only did my menopause, diagnosed with early menopause, not only did that resolve, my period started again. So I always say that your diagnosis is not your destiny. And that is true. At that time as a physician, I didn't know that was even a possibility. To reverse early menopause, what? And so, but I reversed early menopause and then naturally conceived the child I was told I would never be able to have. And I had her when I was 41 years old and was 42 years old. And so restored hormonal function for another 18 more years, because finally at age 56, I could say I had gone through menopause at age 56. When at age 39, I was diagnosed with early menopause. And then at 48, many women in the perimenopause, like the throes of perimenopause, periods are stopping. Maybe you have a period and then you're not having periods, and then in 6 months or 8 months or 12 months, a period starts back, and you're like, okay, wait, I'm not in menopause, I'm in menopause. What kind of time frame is this? Is this perimenopause? What's going on? I mean, it's a time of confusion. And when I was struggling at that time in 48, even knowing what I know at that point too, very well functionally medicine changed, a hormone expert, had been working with compounding hormones since 1999. And so really it takes more than hormones to fix our hormones, and recognize that I had to shift the way I was doing things. I had to shift the the way I was eating, and to support insulin sensitivity, to decrease cortisol, and to empower oxytocin. And those, when I talk about this in my books, I write about this in my books, the proven methods to work to support hormone balance so that you feel at home in your body again. So I've written The Hormone Fix, keto-green 16, and Menopause, which I'm so excited is also menopausia in Spanish. This is completely in Spanish, and it's excellent. So someone had, okay, you guys ask me questions. I am here for you. Dr. Moen Official says, what should a man do during menopause of his wife? So, I have a great article on my blog at dranna.com, and it says what a man should never say to his partner as a woman. So definitely recommend that you read that. But one thing is, definitely don't say, if here's some things that I think definitely don't say it. In the comments, you guys help me out. What are things you don't want to hear from your partner when you're having like a hormonal day, let's say? And I think one of the ones is like, I think it's your hormones, honey. I mean, like, wait, we're blaming you for the way I'm feeling right now. So why are you putting that blame back on me, is the thought process happening here. So I think the things that we should do when our partners are going through menopause is really hold safe space. Hold safe space, nourishment, keep doing research. What can I do to improve the quality of our life? What can we do to get more sunlight? What can we do to clean up our diet and our environment more, to decrease the amount of hormone disruptors? What about the medicinal menus that we can have, that that you can prepare and treat her with, so they follow the keto-green medicinal menu plans that really do help balance hormones? And what can I do to increase more oxytocin? How can I make her laugh more? How can I show up in a positive way? How can I encourage and support? And again, just hold that safe space. for her to go through this time period with doing the things. There's so much we can do from a nutrition, lifestyle, physical perspective, and definitely oxytocin is one of the biggest ways. So some things, you guys, I want to hear it from you. What are some things you don't want to hear from your partner? Or, like, guys, you should never say this when we're going through hormonal changes. Sweet Louise said, it's all in your head is what I heard. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that would light a fire under me too, Sweet Louise. So yeah, definitely. And it's important to notice what's going on. And then you say, hey, I noticed that during this time. And you guys, like, sometimes we don't even realize that we only hate you 2 weeks of the month. Like, that's so true, right? If you only hate your partner 2 weeks of the month, it's most likely your hormones, not necessarily your partner. It's when it's the majority of the month that it's a problem, right? So when you start noticing, and yourself too, like, chart your symptoms over the course of a month. In my program, Magic Menopause, what we're doing right now is, so this is the workbook that my clients get when they join Magic Menopause. Everything's in downloadable form too. But you have your daily tracker, and you can assess how you're feeling. And I like clients to write how they're feeling. How are they feeling as far as joy, energy, productivity, friendliness, focus, body love? How are you feeling about these specific areas? And then also, because food is medicine, I create these medicinal menus. I still want you to write down what exactly you are eating, drinking, how you're moving, etc. every day, checking your urine pH, checking your ketones, checking uric acid to make sure that we're physiologically optimizing our energy body too. And so, but you can see how the mood shift over certain times of your cycle of the month, maybe over the lunar cycle, but what we measure gets managed, as the saying goes. What we measure gets managed. So let's see. Oh yeah, and I will be going live. I will be coming back at 11:30 with Tamsen Fadal, whose documentary on menopause is premiering today in New York City. So I invite you back at 11:30. Definitely follow me here at The Girlfriend Doctor. You will get notified every time I go live today. I'll be starting with Tamsen Fadal, but other guests today include Betsy Greenleaf. We're going to be talking incontinence issues with Betsy. She's a fellow OBGYN. And then also bringing on Cynthia Thurlow. And we're going to talk about heart health with Cynthia. And Danny Williamson. We're going to be talking about inflammation. So these are leaders and key influencers that are just also amazing communicators. And you guys can ask us anything. So today's the day. Tracy said regarding what a partner can do, what a husband can do, yes, be supportive. Lots of love, lots of hugs, lots of oxytocin. Prescott says, I love that. Sonia asks, as a method of cancer prevention due to a family history, should a 43-year-old healthy woman get rid of her ovaries and go into menopause? And I think you're talking about a family history of breast cancer or a family history of ovarian cancer. Is it BRCA gene positive? Are you following your tumor markers, your CA125? And, removing any part of our body that is not diseased is never an answer, in my opinion. It's never an answer. And I think it will be considered a barbaric procedure of our past that we've done these things to women, to be honest, when there's so much we can do to prevent. Underlying the genetics is a small fraction of the reason. We know because of epigenetics, we can modulate the genetic expression to positive disease-free life. We would do our best to do that, and or early detection if something does go wrong. But the key thing is understanding epigenetics, looking at your genetic markers, optimizing your metabolic pathways, your phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification pathways. That's key. I want each and every one of you to create bodies inhospitable to cancer. So optimizing your vitamin D level. There are so many things. Okay, going back to the question about guys, what you should not say to your partner about their hormonal symptoms and during menopause. H. Watcher says, why are you so moody? Yeah, that is probably not something you should say. That is probably not something you should say. You guys, is there anything else you shouldn't say to your partner during menopause? Sherry Prescott asked, when should one start Magic Menopause? Recent lab show I'm in perimenopause. Definitely join my program. Right now it's closed. Magic Menopause is closed for anyone new, but start with keto-green 16 challenge on my website at dranna.com. And definitely this magnus opus is the hormone fix. I want everyone to know this information. So that's important. Healing physiologically and makes a huge difference. You'll hear my story and other women's stories too. Kristen said, women's bodies are designed to change. It's a feature, not a bug. If your partner was kind during pregnancy, should treat menopause the same way, but women have hope, get curious, and get help. That is right. It is important. And it's like, if menopause is natural and mandatory, suffering is optional. And so because it's telling us symptoms and reason, when I see patients one-on-one here in Dallas, Texas at carpathiahealth.com, Carpathia Health spelled with a C, carpathiahealth.com. So definitely welcome to come see me in Dallas. But the reason I want to see you in person is because your body always says something that you're maybe not even noticing or paying attention to. The signs and symptoms our body expresses could be temperature changes, could be rashes, could be things you've been living with for so long, patterns of hair loss or hair growth. I mean, those are things, the way the tongue looks, the way the fingernails looks, the feeling of the pulse. I mean, it can get a lot from a virtual appointment, but I want to do it right. And so I see patients in person because our body's always telling us something. And that's the kind of relationship I want to have with patients that I take care of and that I'm going to prescribe with. If I'm going to, treat someone medically, if you're coming under my care from a medical standpoint, that's how I want to do it. But the body is always telling us something. So the symptoms that we experience, whatever the symptoms are, it's symptoms we experience. So if we're experiencing hot flashes, hair loss, we're losing thinning of the lateral third of our eyebrow. That can indicate thyroid. The tongue. I'm always looking at tongue. I learned in China about some traditional Chinese medicine and assessing the pulse as well as assessing the tongue and being able to see what that is showing me. And it's always right. And of course, as a gynecologist, vulvar, vaginal health, perianal health, it is critical. So, I think it's important that we really start listening to the signs that our body's saying and recognize those are symptoms, because we get into balance, all those symptoms go away. I see it right now. We're in the middle of our second week in our Magic Menopause program. This is our 10th year of running people through my virtual Magic Menopause 8-week program. And already you see the difference, the energy levels, the feelings, the, losing toxic fat, losing, fatigue and having more energy, getting rid of the symptoms of fatigue and just feeling like you're showing up better. And that's true for me. That's one of the reasons I run these programs, because I do them with you. All right, Sandy said, early menopause, had high blood pressure. I do feel it was caused from menopause. So menopause, loss of protective ovarian hormones, our adrenal glands have to pick up. Oftentimes at the time of menopause and perimenopause, there's other stress factors too. I know I've had 4 daughters. I still have a teenage daughter at home. And so, like the hormonal chaos that can happen. So it's really important to reassess that and join physically. Lauren Reed said, love you too, Lauren. Thank you for being here. Awesome. Okay. So yeah, definitely follow me. I've got a lot of lives coming up today. Really excited. I'll be doing some giveaways of my menopause kit today. So I'll have Amira bring out a menopause kit here shortly, but I'll be giving out a menopause kit during every one of our lives. Every one of the lives that we're doing today. And I have Cynthia Thurlow, Danny Williamson. At 11:30, I have Tamsen Fadal, who's premiering her menopause documentary today. And I'm just excited to be here with you. And Betsy Greenleaf, a fellow OBGYN. And you guys get to ask us anything. H-Worth Wellness says, love you and your products, game changers. Thank you. Thank you. We'll definitely be sure to follow me here at The Girlfriend Doctor, and then write a question below. I'll be sure to answer it. And just by asking a question or putting a comment, you will be entered in to win one of many menopause kit bundles that I'm giving away today. So that's a Mighty Maca menopause capsules. It is a balance cream and Julva. So 3 of my signature products that I'll be giving away today. That's called a menopause bundle. It's our menopause bundle, and it is worth over $150, and we'll be giving out several today. So be sure to put a comment and follow me and share this, share these lives, tag someone you love, and you'll be entered. Norma says, can you go through perimenopause after a total hysterectomy? I had to do it because of a complete uterus prolapse. I'm 38 years old. So at age 38, did they take your ovaries or not take your ovaries? So Norma, answer that question. I'll be able to answer you a little bit more. But the process of having a hysterectomy, even leaving the ovaries, is associated with an earlier menopause. Now, if they took the ovaries, that's surgical menopause, and that is instantly where you need bioidentical estrogen, bioidentical progesterone replacement to decrease the consequences of having your ovaries removed. So that's important. Nicole asked how to help with anxiety. And so with anxiety, I love talking about mental health and menopause, because mental health diagnoses are usually diagnosed in the perimenopause and menopause when it's a hormonal imbalance issue. So we have to optimize our hormones, optimize our adrenals, optimize our detox pathways. Can you guys hear me okay? My neighbor's doing a remodel on their house. Are you guys getting that background noise, or is it okay? I'll have to put a headset in. All right. Let's see here. Bloom said, thought of intrarosa vaginal suppositories versus estradiol cream versus Balance and Julva. I am partial to Julva. I created it with cleanest ingredients, good enough to eat, in other words, good enough for oral sex. But we definitely want to talk about the differences in intrarosa and Balance and Julva and vaginal estradiol. First of all, if you have a tube of vaginal estradiol, pull up the ingredients. Look at the tube, look at the ingredients. You'll see the word parabens in there. You'll see chemicals that you do not want to be ingesting. And it is definitely is that better sound, you guys? It is definitely something you want to avoid. You want to avoid those chemicals. Now, the estradiol in and of itself is fine, but the other ingredients are not fine, and they can be caustic to the vagina over time. And anyway, estrogen works on the mucosal layers. DHEA, such as in Julva and Intrarosa, work all the way down to the muscularis level. So what I've seen, and I see this over and over again in my clinic, is, reverse aging of the vagina by 10, 20 years in a short amount of time. So usually consistently for 2-3 months. But I had a client recently, I wasn't even able to do, it was very difficult to do a pap smear on her last year. I put her on Julva, and we've been detoxing mold also at the same time. And this year, her pap smear was no problem. And she says she's been having sex with her husband. She's 62, sex with her husband again, and just enjoying it. And this is something that had been off the table for 5 to 7 years beforehand. And so I think that's really important. So Blooms of Bliss, the question, Intrarosa vaginal suppository is DHEA. It's 6.5 milligrams of DHEA in each suppository. And I think it's a very, very good vaginal option. Very, very good vaginal option. Balance cream is progesterone, pregnenolone, and tripeptide. It's good to use clitoris to anus also, but it's really good. I use it face, neck, décolletage, and on other areas of my body too. It gets rid of it. The progesterone and pregnenolone are neuroprotective, helps with mood, helps with deeper sleep, decreases anxiety to address the question on anxiety, progesterone helps promote promote GABA and allopregnenolone. So that really is very naturally anti-anxiety producing, so that can be beneficial. The tripeptide gets rid of the fine lines and wrinkles and sunspots. So that's why I like Balance Cream, and that's why I created it that way. And Julva is topical, clean ingredients, good enough to eat, fine during oral sex, fine for men also. And you use it clitoris to anus. You want to keep that tissue healthy, because as we age, all of us will experience thinning and loss of moisture unless we're adding back topically those hormones. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. How to get better sleep. Oh, Nicole says, all calming herbs do the reverse in me. How do I get better sleep? So one thing I would try is the Balance Cream topically and see how you do with that. Mighty Maca, the combination, can help. Even if you take it in the morning or mid-afternoon, see how you feel. If it gives you energy, great. If it helps you get a good night's sleep, even better, right? We want to we'll do a kiss too then. So we've got some things we're going to be giving away here. So Mira, help me choose someone to win our first menopause kit of the day. So you guys, you have to enter, comment, follow me, and tag someone you love, or share this with someone. And we will be giving you, you entered to win a menopause kit. So this is Mighty Maca capsules. This is the Mighty Maca in capsules, 30 adaptogenic herbs. So Nicole entered to win, and the Balance Cream and the Julva, which I just talked about. So we'll be giving that away. Amira's help is here. Amira's my daughter. She's also my affiliate manager. And so if you are an online influencer, you have a clinic, definitely connect with us with Amira. All right. So Dr. Moyne said, why modern women are afraid of pregnancy before menopause in the world. I don't understand your question. Nicole said, how to get an appointment with me. Just go to dranna.com, dranna.com/about, and that'll give you information on the clinic here in Dallas. S. Diaz says, how do you know when they are over menopause? That's a really good question, because like the terminology that we've used is not ideal, right? Like we know puberty, we start our menstrual cycles. Okay, so we've started, but that whole duration of time when we're getting breast development, underarm hair, pubic hair, all that stuff, that's puberty. So with menopause, really we're kind of looping in. Menopause is technically defined as 1 day in time, 12 months after your period. But like a patient that I had in my office just last week, she had her period at 13 months after not having a period in 13 months. So she's not like, is she menopausal? So that's like that menopausal, perimenopause basket. For me, diagnosed with early menopause based on lab numbers and no periods at age 39, reverse that finally at age 56, then, post menopause. So that's the confusing part. So, and especially if you have your uterus removed, right? So now we're saying, like that adds a whole nother level of complication. If you had a hysterectomy, and are you in menopause, not in menopause, that gets confusing. So what gets measured gets managed, assessing your symptoms, assessing your lab values, and they're really important lab values that aren't looked at that should be in our routine visits that really give us ideas of what's going on. I go into a whole lab module in our Magic Menopause program. So, but that's a really good question, S. Diaz. Nicolese says, I wish I could come see you. I have so many symptoms. I need HRT, but I'm a breast cancer survivor and doctor won't give me any. I use topical on the vaginal area, which helps, but can't get systemic. So, Nicolese, definitely read my book, The Hormone Fix. Do my 10-day free Breeze Through Menopause program on my website. I believe that's, Amira, can you post a link to that? Yeah. But it's dranna.com/breeze, and that'll take you to be able to sign up for the free 10-day Breeze Through Menopause program. All right, so you guys will be giving away Do we have our first winner, Amira, for the menopause kit? The menopause kit is Mighty Maca, which is adaptogenic, which supports phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification, supports your adrenal glands, improves DHEA by as much as 70 to 200% in 2 to 3 months of use. Like a game changing. So it's organic.
It will be announced later today, okay?
Oh, Amira's saying it's going to be announced later today, but Amira, I want to announce it now. All right.
Later today, and they share this to their story.
Okay, so share this to your story. That's how Mira can track you to connect with you, and that's how you will be entered, and we'll be announcing this later today. So I'm told, I think we can do things, and then we can't. All right. So, Mylissa, thanks for that question. I feel high blood pressure can be attributed to my hormones and menopause. Yeah. Menopause is a risk factor for cardiovascular disease. Let's see. TDS Bonnet, I can't understand your question. Can you rewrite that? Sorry. Dr. Moyne said, you're a great woman, that you have 4 lovely daughters. Thank you. Yeah, it's great for everyone to be here. You know, earlier on we were saying, please comment about what a guy should never say to their partner during menopause, and we got some really good ones. So definitely scroll up. So you guys, at 11:30, I'm bringing on Tamsen Fadal from New York City on the day of her premiere for the Menopause documentary. So I'm really excited about that. So awesome, you guys. Zombeck says, love the Girl Doc program. All right, let's see. All right, guys, don't hesitate to ask. LMV Nappy says, I need to go back and do Magic Menopause over again and get back on track. I'm telling you, I have to do it over and over and over again. It's really important. And I love the community we have. This round has just been so powerful. The women, the inspirations, the coaching, the community support has been incredible. All right, let's see. Okay, great. Nazarian says, I love Jova. And yeah, so I'm glad I came inside so you guys can hear. The Prissy Missy says, I feel like it's harder to get help as a perimenopause woman who also has atypical PCOS because hormone levels for PCOS are not normal even before perimenopause. So I want to talk about this. I talk a lot about PCOS, and I was in India talking about PCOS because it's on the rise. It's more common in people of indigenous genetics, so like Native Americans, Palestinian, my mother's Palestinian, in Middle Eastern, African heritages, the Black population have an increased risk of insulin resistance and PCOS, but it can affect any one of us, just depending. And so, and then you have the atypical PCOS where you're not presenting with weight gain and acne and those symptoms. And so having had experienced PCOS and early menopause and infertility and those tragic things, what I recognized, I really dug into, and I start working with patients, especially my teenage patients that were coming in all of a sudden at age 13, starting their periods, gaining 20, 30 pounds, getting acne, and that's a symptom of PCOS. But what it's telling us is the epigenetics issue. It's an issue of epigenetics because if you have the genes for PCOS, you have warrior genes, you have Amazonian genes. Like, I love working with you because you are smart, you're intelligent, you're leaders, you're, like you build muscle, and, you're designed for, to be in a powerful position, to be a leader. And so you think, like when I speak to my teenagers, I think of their heritage. Are you like, Pocahontas, Mulan, Amazonian, Arabian princess? What is your, really think of how we're designed to live out in nature, not drink, I take them off dairy. I put them on a keto-green lifestyle. I work with them with, removing toxins and endocrine disruptors. It's not like I'm not putting you on birth control pills. That's extra toxic. So like these genes are powerful genes. So you want to work with your powerful genetics. and the SAD, the standard American diet, works against it. So if you know what I'm talking about, if you know someone who's been diagnosed with or symptomatic dealing with PCOS, please share that message. Share that message because it's not fat, obese, acne genes. They're powerful genetics. And yeah. So let's see here. Where on your body should you use testosterone cream and progesterone cream for the best result? Honestly, you should change locations, but the clitoris to, the vulvar area to the anus vaginally is an excellent area to use those creams because they're well absorbed because it's very vascular. Myla asks, headaches, unstable blood pressure, and the middle of the body weight gain is killing me. It's like, invite you to do Magic Menopause. Follow my programs in keto-green. I mean, these symptoms are going to go away within 2 weeks. So the quickest thing I can offer you free is the dranna.com/breeze. Is that the right link, Amira?
Yeah, dranna.com/breeze.
dranna.com/breeze, and we'll pin that to this, but you can go through my 10-day breeze through menopause program for free that way. I hear you. Let's see. Get all your questions. All right, you guys, I will be back at 11:30. And then Pep Girl said, can men use balance cream? Absolutely. It's progesterone, pregnenolone, and tripeptide. Men, I typically start them with a half a pump and use it around their temporals. Helps with memory, helps with deeper sleep, helps with mood too. So I typically have them use around the temples, neck area, and that works good. Sunshine says, should I stop drinking coffee with perimenopause? Someone get me a cup of coffee right now. I mean, if it's working against you, there's times I've just completely cut out coffee, but there's also times I add it back in. Saka Kelly says, do you help with pelvic floor issues? Yes, of course. That is one of my specialties. Definitely start with Jolva and Balance Cream though. Okay, let's see. Let me get all your comments. You guys.
One more time to tag a friend. Make sure they follow you, tag a friend.
Okay, so Amira's telling me, go ahead and be sure to, we're gonna save this video to my feed. Be sure to put your comment below, tag someone, share this, and you guys are entered into win the menopause kit. And again, the menopause kit is our Mighty Maca menopause capsules, a 60-night tube of Jolva, and a balance cream, which is my progesterone, pregnenolone, tripeptide. This is over the counter without a prescription. So do your research and see if this is something that might be right for you. But anyway, we're giving away several kits today. All right. Crazy Cheer Mom said, I was told I have a prolapse bladder, but nothing can be done. So definitely check out my blog and come back when we're talking with Betsy Greenleaf. When are we talking with Betsy Greenleaf?
12 Central.
And she's a urogynecologist. I'm an OBGYN, and we have a lot a lot of advice for prolapse, to avoid prolapse, what to do to improve, if you do need surgery, to improve the condition going into surgery, but hopefully getting rid of those symptoms too. Now I want to introduce to you guys a friend of mine who I met in this menopause journey a few years back, and she is today she is at the premiere of her documentary on menopause. So I'm excited to be introducing Tamsen Fadal to you today. She really has been a voice on the forefront of bringing menopause into conversations around the world. So she'll be joining us here in a minute, and I look forward to you guys having the opportunity to meet with her. Again, going to the premiere of her documentary on menopause, and I can't wait for her to share this information with you. Let's go. Try this. There we are. Okay. Hey.
Hi, how are you?
I
I'm halfway between getting ready and on the way there.
Oh my gosh, I know. I'm like, okay, wait, you can do your makeup while we're talking.
Yes,
We'll get this.
I know.
You look great.
Thank
So
you.
please, one of the things that really impacted me when I was talking with you, we met and had dinner in New York
Yeah,
City, a few years ago back, but telling me your menopause journey, how you thought you were going crazy, how your doctor thought
yeah,
you were going crazy, And just realizing that it was the hormonal changes really has inspired you to do this documentary. So please tell us all about it.
Yeah, I mean, I had no idea, and I thought my story was unique. And as you know, it was far from unique with so many stories like that. But I didn't know what was going on. I had come out of a divorce, and I thought it was a lot of stress.
Her audio cut out.
Oops, wait, I can't hear you. Tamsen, you froze.
She jumped out. She's gonna jump.
Okay, she'll come back in, but I'm reading. So, Diario Menopausa says, great documentary. Thank you. We need it in Brazil. Um, a lot of people like praising you right here on your amazing documentary. So this is powerful. You guys can still see me, but I don't see, let me see if I can get Tamsen back in. And she literally is on the road running from live interviews all day to the premiere. And let's see, we can't get back on. Oh, lost her. Oh, there she is. Okay, great.
Hi, I'm so sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I
That's
was like,
okay.
wait.
You're on the road. You're literally running from point A to point B.
Yeah, we
And
have the screening tonight in New York. So it's the first time I'm going to be able to see it with a big audience in New York. So I'm super excited. And I promise you, we're going to get to Texas. So
yeah,
I'm thrilled for that. But yeah, so I didn't know what was going on, and I realized my story wasn't unique. And as I dove into it more and more, I realized there was just so much more. Of that hormones do that you just feel like you're alone in that journey. And we set out to put this documentary together to make sure, one, that women don't feel like that, but two, that they have there's some actionable steps that they can take as a result. So yeah, it's been quite the journey. I remember when you texted me that night and you were like, hey, can you grab dinner in New York? It was like within 10 minutes we were at a restaurant sitting down talking. It was just super cool. And I feel like that's what this space is about, is that engagement and sharing and community.
yeah, that honest, open ability to connect and share and
Yeah.
not be afraid. Like, I think
Yeah.
that one of the questions I've always asked my community, and early on, I was like, what did your mom tell you about menopause? And the answer was nothing. And now we're really educating the next
Yeah.
generations too, to
Yeah.
start speaking early, because these symptoms, like, first of all, they're, physiology affects our
Yep.
behavior. So if we're not feeling good, if we're not feeling at home in our body, we're moody, whatever, there's
Mm-hmm.
something going
Mm-hmm.
on physiologically. It's not in our
Yeah.
head.
No
Right?
question.
So
No
what are
question
some
at
of the
all.
highlights of the documentary? What were some things that you're like, I had no idea, even with
Yeah.
everything you interviewing for people? Well, a little bit about Tamsen. She's been interviewing. Tell about your story as a journalist and in news and broadcasting.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've been interviewing people for 30 years. I don't think I've ever interviewed so many people on one topic, which is the exciting part of it. But I've learned so much over the years that I didn't know, that I knew was important to share. But I think what I really learned, and sorry, I'm going to be on the move as I get out of the car. But what I really learned with the documentary was the lack of education that the doctors have, and really um, how impactful that has been on women, and how difficult that is for women. And I think I knew it all along, but I don't think I just realized how difficult of a journey it's been, and what a lack of research that we really have. We say it a lot, and then when I actually sat down to understand the ramifications of each one of those women that walk into a doctor's office, that get dismissed, that don't get the information that they need, and then they go home and they try to go to work, and they try to um, deal with their family and relationships, and that impact, it's just quite the circle. I think that with the documentary, we did a lot of research into the brain too. We talked with Dr. Lisa Mosconi, the neuroscientist. So that was an interesting part for me, because I didn't know as much as I thought I knew. So for me, storytelling is always about learning too. And so it was a lot. I mean, a lot of things and you teach every single day, but I just think are so important for women to hear, again, and all in one place. And that's why we wanted to do the documentary.
Yeah, no, I love it. And Lisa's definitely been on the forefront in
Yeah,
researching
she
hormones'
has.
effect on the brain
She
and
has.
the size of the hippocampal. Like the hippocampus actually shrinks if we don't
Mm-hmm.
supplement and support our hormones. So
Yeah.
like it is critically important. The other
Yeah.
thing that I think is just so impactful. First of all, you guys, the documentary is called The M Factor. Follow Tamsen above, follow Tamsen, follow me, and we'll be giving you more information as time goes on.
Yes,
I
for
did a
sure.
great podcast with Lisa Mosconi on the menopause brain too. Just
Oh,
amazing.
good,
But
good.
like to have all these interviews in one
Yep.
place, in one
Yep.
documentary, I think is again powerful. And also the fear, and I know you address the misconceived fears of
Yeah.
hormonal therapy, but I always say it takes more than hormones to fix our
Yeah.
hormones. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we talk about that too, because there is the integrative approach that I think is so important, and so much confusion about it, and such a lack of research. There is some research, there's not enough research, and there's not enough research so that we have guidelines and statements around that. So I think that that's where we have to get in the next iteration. And then I think we also need to figure out workplace, because we've talked a lot about workplace, but there's not something that I've seen that can be applicable to everybody and like apply to all of the different kind of workplaces. And we need that system of support. And so those are some of the bigger areas that I had my own learning curve on. And then and I also just think that when we see women come together watching this, it wasn't so much about the documentary, but it was about the community that it's forming. And I think that that's been really special to me. So we're already in the works talking about what we're going to do next for film, but it's really seeing that community come together. And when we have 200, 300, 1,500 women come together and watch a film and then talk about it afterwards, because a lot of them, they're community screenings, so that's been really neat to see. So I'm excited about tonight, because we've got about 200 people that are coming to one location. So I'm nervous excited, to be honest. Nervous
And to
excited.
just be in the room with the energy of that and the
Yeah, yeah,
emotions that the documentary elicits,
yeah,
it's really powerful, especially with each individual's experience. And I
yeah,
think one thing that's beautiful about it is the validity it gives women in
yeah,
peri and through post menopause, is that validity. Like, look, I knew something was
yeah,
wrong, and this is that empowerment piece as a physician. And I didn't learn, if it wasn't for my early menopause
I
diagnosis and
know,
my own hormonal
I know.
hellish journey, I wouldn't know what I
Yeah,
know. That is the empowerment piece to feel like, okay, I can, I
I,
learn
I
the
know.
information. But I will tell you this, I've been an OBGYN now since, I finished OBGYN residency at Emory in 1999. And every year we have to like read and
Yes,
answer questions and recertify for our boards. This is the first year in my 20 something years of recertifying that there were menopause articles, that there were
that's
Lisa
amazing.
Mosconi's
That's
article published in
amazing.
Nature
Yep,
is one of ours. There's an article on DHEA, vulvar and
that's amazing.
vaginally. There's articles about helping menopausal women. There's at
Yeah,
least, I know I checked them all. So there's at least 10
that's
articles. There's still not enough,
great.
but
Yeah, of
there's
course, of course.
there's several, and that's the first time. It's the first time in our OBGYN
But
history. So I
that's
think
such
that
a big deal.
mhm,
Such a big deal, and then that means that we're moving that needle.
yeah. Yeah, we are. And so for your documentary, how can people watch it? How can people
Yeah.
find you? Definitely, you guys follow
Yes.
Tamsen above, follow me above, and check out this documentary. So how do we watch it?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's on PBS. It's on pbs.org, and it'll be on there for a little while streaming. So if you have that, if it's international, we're trying to work on international rights as we speak. We got a notice this morning saying that somebody's interested in distributing us. So we are super excited about that. So we'll see where that goes, and we are also letting people, everywhere, license out the film for free and be able to show it in their community. So there's always that opportunity as well, wherever you are. So no exceptions. And if you come to the mfactorfilm.com, you can find that. And I just want to say kudos to you, because you and I have known each other for a while now, and I take so much of the advice that you have. I want to say that I interviewed you for my book, and so I have my book coming out in March, How to Menopause. And there are so many incredible doctors out there. So for all the doctors that don't know what's going on, there are so many that do. And so I have to thank you for that, because I think it's really important that people know there are a lot of doctors with a lot of education. And that's what I, work to highlight.
And it's so so powerful. Thank you. You do it so well. You are a master storyteller. So again, that makes it
I have
something
good
great to
subjects.
listen
I
to.
have good subjects.
Yeah. And one thing too about bringing it to community. So the factor, okay, you can go to mfactorfilm.com
Hmm.
and you
Yep.
can do this in community, and community
Yes.
increases
Yep.
oxytocin. It's one of the common threads in blue zones. So, and it opens up conversation and ability to discuss these issues, whatever
Hmm.
it's dealing with. What were some, like, I know you're running right now to get ready for the premiere. So I'm gonna let you go after this one last
No,
question.
I love
So
it.
just one thing that you want all women to know, you want all women to feel as a result of this.
Yeah, I want them to feel powerful walking into a doctor's office, not afraid. I want them to feel like they've got some answers or armed with some answers, and that if they don't hear the answers that they want, that they can walk out of there. Not that they're waiting for somebody to, say like, no, not for you. I think that that's really what this is all about. We want them to feel like they have that and they've got options. Because when you don't feel like you have options, you feel very lost and alone, and that's not okay.
That is very true. That is very true. And that's all about empowerment. Thank you, Tamsen,
Oh
for
gosh,
being
so
here. Thank
good
you
to
for
see you.
sharing
Thank
your
you for
time. And
doing
I'm like,
this
I got to
today.
catch you on
No,
today
I'm
in
so
between everything.
happy. I'm so happy we
Yeah.
did this. Thank you so much.
Well, we're going to arrange to have a premiere here in
I'd love
Dallas. We're working
it.
on that now.
I'd
We'll
love
figure
it.
it out. So I
I'd
hope
love
you'll
it.
come in
I
person too.
absolutely will. I absolutely will. We're going to figure it out. Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you. All right, you guys, that was just an amazing conversation with Tamsen. And you guys follow her at Tamsen Fadal, and also follow the M Factory about the documentary. Definitely follow that Instagram page as well. That's there. Write down mfactoryfilm.com. And again, I'm looking forward to seeing it and doing a screening here in Dallas. I'll let you guys know. So be sure to follow me at The Girlfriend Doctor, and I will let you know when we'll do that screening too. Oh my gosh, I always say where there is a will, there is a way. So I am glad to be here. Hopefully we're on all our we're back on Instagram. We've had so many people who really wanted to hear from you and talk about this issue. And there were a couple of key questions that came up, especially in regards to bladder health. And that was the first one was on prolapse. So
Yes.
let's talk about prolapse a little bit.
Yes, the ultimate, it's fallen and can't get back up, right? So, yeah. So a lot of people ask, unfortunately, what is prolapse? So 50% of women will experience a prolapse at some point in their lives. So it is definitely something we need to talk about, because when I was practicing urogynecology in the office, I inevitably would have women that would come in and be like, I'm the only person that this is happening to, right? And I'm like, no, I have a whole schedule filled with people that think that they're the only ones that this is happening to, because we just don't talk about it. So the way the pelvic floor, well, we have our pelvic floor muscles that hold things in place, but then there's ligaments between the bladder and the vagina, and the rectum, and basically it's holding in the uterus, and it's holding everything in place. And so, unfortunately, because of things like childbirth, lifting heavy objects, bearing down out bowel movements, over time, those ligaments can get stretched or damaged. And so now the bladder can lean on the vagina and push it out, or the rectum can lean on the vagina and push it out. And so we have those issues where it's prolapse is just that this drooping and dropping of the pelvic organs, because we're basically an open hole to gravity, because there's not much other than muscles and some ligaments holding everything in. So it's very, very common. So what else would you like to know about prolapse?
Oh my gosh, I know. And then like before, I mean, we're both surgeons, right? So before repairing prolapse, you want to increase the hormones to the pelvic floor. So Jolva, of course, vaginal testosterone combined with DHEA, even with progesterone and or estrogen, suppositories to the vaginal floor can help increase the strength of the muscle, increase the integrity of the tissue if we do have to operate. But that's where I found out that the more I did that, whether it was for incontinence or pelvic pressure symptoms, prolapse issues, all of those issues. As you worked hormonally, they'd come in for their pre-op and say, Dr. Anna, I'm not having those symptoms anymore. Have you had the same experience, Betsy?
Yeah, and I think that's a good point because, so many of us put things off, when it comes to our own health, so that by the time we do get to the doctor, we want it all fixed yesterday. But really prepping that tissue is going to help you heal better. But it also may actually help to reverse it to a certain point. It's not going to fix the ligaments that are broken, but it can kind of reverse some of the symptoms of the prolapse to the point where maybe you don't necessarily need surgery. So you definitely want to be using, products like Jolva to help prepare that tissue and get it in its best, best situation. So if you then have to proceed with surgery, and you want to give it a good 3 to 4 months use before you even considering, having surgery.
I agree. And that, as a surgeon too, you want the best outcome for our patients. So,
and also, strengthening that pelvic floor, all of us start to lose muscle mass in our 30s. We start losing 8% every decade, starting in our 30s. And so we don't often think about our pelvic floor muscles and strength until all of a sudden we're having symptoms. So even just doing Kegels or pelvic floor strengthening can reverse the appearance of the prolapse to the point where maybe you don't need surgery. And that's something I figured out when I first came out of training. I was trained as a surgeon. So everybody that walked through the door, I was thinking surgery. But as I matured through my career, I realized if it's not bothering you and it's not causing any medical conditions, you don't necessarily need surgery for a prolapse. So that's something that, if you're being sent to a doctor to look at this because maybe they just found it on your exam, the first thing I would talk to your doctors and be like, well, do I need surgery? Ask them, what is it? What would happen if I don't do surgery? What are the risks if I do surgery? And, what am I expecting things to be like? Because I've had some people who've lived perfectly normal, fulfilled lives without having the surgery. And then some people, the surgery is, if it bothers you so much emotionally or mentally or physically to the point where it's affecting your quality of life, that's a good time to have the surgery.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's the maturity of, and what we're seeing too, speaking in the menopause space, here we are on World Menopause Day, is that because more female physicians have come through menopause than ever before in history. I mean, when I was in medical school, there were 15 women in a class of 115 students. So wow. 15 women, 100 men back then in 1991. And so, and in residency for OBGYN, when I started residency at Emory University in 1995, there were 4 women and 6 men. And so but that has shifted. That has shifted over time. I was curious about you too. And in urogynecology, how many fellow urogynecology fellows did you have?
Oh gosh. I mean, urogynecology is a pretty new field. So even then, our program was pretty new, and it was mostly men that were going through the program and after me, there was a couple women, but really, even when I was there was only one other urogynecologist fellow that was going through. And I mean, if you look at across the United States, there's only 1,500 urogynecologists in the United States. Yeah. And there's such a need. If 50% of women are going to have a prolapse at some point in their time, in their life, and
85% experience incontinence over age 65. Yep.
Yeah.
So we need more women urogynecologists, Betsy. But also there are amazing men. I'm not in any way dissing male physicians. I've had the honor and privilege to work with many of the best, most human, lovely people. And but to say that as a physician, when you're taught something and it doesn't work on you as a woman going through menopause or early menopause or infertility, you have a whole nother perspective. And that's one of the reasons we're teaching things here. Amy Hernandez asks, she says, I'm new to perimenopause and I have a family history of breast cancer and cervical cancer. I'm afraid to start any products or replacement hormone treatments because of my family history. I hear you. And that can be scary. Betsy, you want to take this?
Yeah. So you know what? It's so interesting because I too, when I went through menopause, I was afraid to start hormones because of my mom having a history of breast cancer. And I think we're really starting to see a change in that fear of hormones, because historically there was a big fear back in the early 2000s because of the Women's Health Initiative study that basically said that there was an increased risk of breast cancer or increased risk of heart disease with hormones. But now they're looking at that study, and unfortunately, though, that fear has persisted this many years. But they're looking at that study, and it was the types of hormones that were being used in those studies that were the issue. Now, of course, I can't comment on your specific, case, and it's something you want to discuss with your doctor. But when we're talking about hormones, and I know, Dr. Anna, being in integrative and functional medicine like myself, we understand there's a difference between the non-bioidentical hormones that were created and sold and manufactured that we now know are incredibly inflammatory. And those are the ones that potentially, have that higher risk and make me nervous. I'm not politically correct. I'll just come out and say it. I think it's actually criminal that those hormones are still on the market. I really think it's terrible. And yet bioidentical hormones always get a bad rap. And I'm like, wait a minute, what's naturally occurring in our body is not the problem. And in fact,
Exactly.
they can be protective against certain cancers. So, I think anything in balance is the key, because we do know that, women who tend to be obese are, and I know that's not a politically correct term, but lipose endowed, have a little extra, fat tissue on them. They will naturally have certain higher levels of certain estrogens and potentially have higher risks of uterine cancer. And that's their own natural hormone, but that's because it's not in balance. So bioidentical, bioequivalent natural hormones in balance are not a problem.
Exactly. But I've never seen that as a problem in my now 30 years of practicing medicine. It's the synthetic hormones that cause the problem, the history of synthetic hormones. So breast cancer and breast health, we want to create bodies that are inhospitable to cancer. So let's see. There's so much to talk about here. A lot of good questions. Food, family, and travel says such wonderful topic and advice. Thank you both. Christy said, what percentage of bladder leakage over what age again? 85% of women over age 65 experience incontinence for some duration.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the adult diaper industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And too many of us just chalk it up to like it's a natural part of aging. And just because something's common doesn't mean that it's normal and that you have to live with it. Because I've seen women who don't leave their houses. And we know that, to have total health, you need body, mind, spirit. And you can't have that spiritual, mental balance if you're not getting out and, interacting with other humans. And so I've seen women who literally just, sit in their house and are wasting their lives and because they're afraid to go out because they might pee themselves. And there's so many options for incontinence that you don't have to be homebound. So there are tons and tons. And when I tell you, when I first went in training, there was 2 medications maybe for overactive bladder, and now I can't keep track of them. And not even medications. It could be changing diet. It could be getting, balancing the gut microbiome with healthy foods. It could be strengthening your pelvic floor. And there's lovely pelvic floor physical therapists that can be, you can pretty much, they're starting to pop up all over the place.
I love them. They're some of my favorite people. just game changing, in
Jolva,
they love Jolva. The pelvic floor therapists love Jolva. You see a transformation. You see the transformation. But other countries post childbirth, part of the community, part of the care, postpartum care is pelvic floor physical therapy. That's how important that is. You guys, I give you a lot of information at dranna.com, dranna.com. Betsy, tell them your website and also post in the comments the pelvic floor store so people can see your pelvic floor store, which has so many good solutions for people.
So
Amy, awesome. Good that you're here sharing and tagging.
So we got the pelvicfloorstore.com and in fact, actually I'll go after we're done and make a coupon for 10% off. It'll be Dr. Anna for 10% off.
So DRANNA at Pelvic Floor Store. Check out her goodies there. And she ships to Canada. You guys, she ships international to Canada. You know, we've had our hands cuffed on what we can ship to Canada. Like our,
should we be announcing that?
I know. Yeah. Sorry, never mind. You guys didn't hear it here.
I heard a rumor that I might ship to Canada.
I heard a rumor. So anyway,
and
Pelvic Floor Store, you guys.
Soon, it's not up yet, but coming soon will be the internationalpauseinstitute.com.
Oh, the international what?
Pause Institute. So it's a center for perimenopause, menopause, andropause, so you can live your best life 40s forward. But I would say give me a follow on social media, because as we get closer to that, I'll be making some announcements. So yeah.
That is awesome. And here, let me post your pelvic floor store. It's so easy to find here. Pelvic floor store. So there we go. Pelvicfloorstore.com. Use code Dr. Anna, DRANNA, and you'll get a discount. She's got lots of good, and it's vetted very well, right? Like stuff you can trust.
It'll be all capitals. So as soon as we get off of this, I will go make that code for 10% off. So yeah.
So thank you, Betsy. I know, gosh, everyone was so awesome on Instagram. We were going live and in and out, trying to make sure, we had technical difficulties. Well, this has worked so much better. So, food.
I'm glad we'll have to do it another day, another time too. And even though today's only one day for World Menopause Day, every day is Menopause Day, and it's a day, to make your lives better, because menopause does not have to be our grandmother's menopause. This is our time to kick some butt. It's actually your best lives, it's your best years ahead of you.
Yeah, I agree. It's a time to open up, not to shut down. It's a time to really be in touch, get to know and love yourself and those around you, and really prioritize. I mean, so much good. There's so much good. So we'll keep sharing. And you guys, there was a question that came in too on our Instagram feed from Donna Terrell. She said, "Is the cooch ball a good idea?" I love the cooch ball.
I love the cooch ball. I have to get that on my site. I haven't gotten it on there yet. And yes, the cooch ball is an amazing. If you guys have to go check that out, it's a great pelvic physical therapy device to strengthen. The other thing I love is Kegel exercisers, and I'm just gonna throw a plug in for. I like the +1 Kegel exerciser because it's super affordable. So that is one that, it's a little device that you put. Actually, I have one right here. If I have 2 seconds, I know Danny's going to be mad that I'm going in.
Yeah, maybe we send Danny this link, Amira. So, it is showing up nicely on Instagram. You guys from Instagram, you're seeing this. You see us both together. Is that good video? Trying to figure this out. Is it better if I...
So there we go. I don't know if you still see me, but that is the Kegel exerciser from +1. I love it. Super affordable. I think you can find these in like Walmart and Target. I know they have it on my Amazon, and it's just like there's a little device that goes internally, and then there's one that has little lights to let you know that you're squeezing and doing it correctly. So really amazing product. So we also have that on the pelvic floor store.
I love it. Thank you so much. Seriously, I've had so much fun with these ladies, and this conversation is empowering. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Thank you again for joining us on the Girlfriend Doctor Show. I hope today's episode has inspired you to embrace your health journey with confidence and curiosity. Remember, menopause is natural and suffering is optional. And with the right support and knowledge, you can thrive through it, whether it's through lifestyle change, community support, or exploring new resources. For example, Tamsen Fadal's documentary, The M Factor. There are countless ways to empower yourself. And don't forget the importance of pelvic health, as Dr. Betsy Greenleaf highlighted. Keep asking questions, seek balanced hormonal treatments, and engage with our community here at the Girlfriend Doctor. Good community is transformative. And then you have good advocates for you. And oftentimes, someone's been where you are. So there's a tremendous amount of support there too. Be sure to check out our upcoming events and giveaways, including the Menopause Success Kit. Until next time, stay vibrant, stay informed, and remember, you are not alone on this journey. I'm Dr. Anna Cabeca, and I'm here to support you every step of the way. Take care, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks for watching another episode of the Girlfriend Doctor podcast. Check out all the links below for more.